to be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs, and we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
Welcome back to Legendary Foods Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Tuesday, August 30th, 2022. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. Absence might make the heart grow fonder, but it's anticipation that generates interest. And I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who make a solid argument for Andrew Jack's Encore performance at the Arnold's UK next month being one of the most highly anticipated events of the year. As you'd expect, Andrew and his team are already back to work cooking up a new plan of attack to make sure he's ready to take on all comers 4 weeks from now, which will be the first time in his career that he'll be coming into a show with a target on his back. If you listen to any of his post-show interviews, you know that he really truly believes that he has a lot more to offer than what we saw on stage in Texas. And if he's right, and that was only an appetizer, then the interest that he's got going to generate heading into the Olympia weekend will be all sorts of crazy. As far as anticipation for the next month or so on the pro side of things goes, Andrew's pretty much got that locked down now. But as far as the amateur side is concerned, it's hard to imagine anyone other than Michael Krizo occupying the top of that list. His decision to shift gears over to the NPC and the IFBB essentially dominated the conversation for the better part of 2 weeks after it happened. And then the follow-up from Hall of Famers like Jay Cutler, who said on the record that he's seen Michael as a real problem this year, only added even more fuel to the fire. The truth of the matter is that we rarely, and I mean rarely, have a guy on the amateur circuit who generates anticipation like this anymore in our current era of bodybuilding, which makes this whole thing even more of an anomaly. What if he does end up doing what guys like Jay are predicting by winning the amateur and pro events in Prague, which are only about 5 or 6 weeks away now from the Olympia? The hype machine behind this guy is going to be in overdrive, because you'll have all sorts of people tripping all over themselves to make bold predictions about where he's going to place during Olympia weekend. I'm not a big baseball fan anymore, but I do watch enough SportsCenter and listen to enough podcasts to know that the Yankees are leading all major league teams in home runs right now, which makes sense when you have two monsters like Judge and Stanton on the payroll that's higher than the GDP of some third world countries. Because we saw Justin Rodriguez wearing a Yankee cap in his newest update photos, we thought maybe there was a chance he could capture a little bit of that Yankee magic by osmosis as he heads into his next phase of his prep for the season. Now, did you notice that I didn't say Olympia prep? Because there's a rumor floating around that Justin is actually planning to compete again before the Olympia. But at this point, there hasn't been any official announcement about that or whether it's going to happen. We know that when Justin is dialed in, he's good enough to hold his own with anyone. So if he does decide to jump into a show this year, which it doesn't look very likely, everyone else in that lineup better be on their P's and Q's, because he'll be out there swinging for the fences. Our final update of the day comes to you courtesy of your reigning and defending 212 Olympia champ, Derek Lunsford, who still looks like a freight train speeding down the tracks heading into his first title defense. One of the interesting things to keep an eye on over the next few weeks will be whether or not we see Derek get a special invite to compete in the Open Olympia, because we already know that a few other 212 athletes are waiting to hear back on an official decision from the Pro League about their own permission to compete in both divisions. To his credit, Derek said on a handful of occasions that he does plan to defend his title this year, which is great news for 212 fans, but it also doesn't rule out the possibility of him joining Sean Clarita and maybe even Kamalo Gargny on the open stage if that's the way things end up going. The man is literally and figuratively one of the biggest stars in bodybuilding right now, and I know there are plenty of people out there who would love to see a 100% Derek Lunsford and what he can do against some of those monsters that we have in the open division. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.